This is the Talent, Sales, and Scale Show.
Well, I guess the question that we always ask first is, all right, Chet, so what? So you have your own podcast, so you have your own little sales consulting gig, so you're leading a team of 15 SDRs, and you're in this amazing group called Pavilion, and you know all kinds of inside scoop from that. Why should we listen to you?
Probably shouldn't. I'm going to ruin your life with information. I tell that to people all the time. You shouldn't listen to me. It's a challenge to listen to me because while I'm pretty empathetic, I also realize that right now in the world, there's a large gap between understanding the seriousness of work. I love comedy. I love self-deprecating humor in presentations when it's appropriate. I'm very lighthearted. If you asked anyone on my team, anybody I've ever done a presentation with, any of the companies that I've done RKOs, SKOs, or even companies that I've done in-person workshops and events with, they can tell you that like Chet leads with humor. I'm a huge fan of humor. I started my career wanting to pursue a career in the entertainment industry before I moved into sales. Outside sales was a great way to kind of work on a 1099 on my own time while I was auditioning, doing stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, things of that nature. So I love humor. Like I lead with humor. But one of the things about work in this day and age now is that people seem to really enjoy the work-life balance, as I do as well, but they take too much advantage of it, in my opinion. And they complain a lot and they have a lot of qualms, and they don't understand, as Jim Rohn would say, the seriousness of work, right? You're parting with a resource that you're never going to get back in exchange for money. You're never going to get that time back. You're exchanging a part of your life to build someone else's dream so that you can pay for your living expenses, right? It's a serious thing, so take it seriously. I see it time and time again. I tell reps, like, this is the thing that you need to remember. This is a very serious gig. This is serious in your own life because you could be out traveling the world, but instead you're working. And that's not to depress people, because that's the way of the world, right? We all have to work, unfortunately. That's just how it is. That's the way of life. That's giving back to society. So make it count, right? Don't just show up and press the buttons and sit at your desk and refresh your LinkedIn page 5 different times or refresh a dashboard 8 times. The needle's not going to move unless you do something to move the needle. And so a lot of the content and the things that I push out are a challenge to get people to rise to that occasion. So you ask, why should we listen to you? You really shouldn't. But if you're looking for the accolades, 2-time sales dev leader, I've helped raise over $100 million of funding between the last 2 companies that I've been a part of, all during a pandemic. And you know that when you're trying to raise money, one of the biggest things is, how is the growth going, right? You're not going to raise money if you're not growing. And especially on the outbound side, sales development is a huge part of that. So I've successfully built 2 SDR teams from scratch, complete outbound ABS strategy, ended up leading to a lot of funding at my previous company. Same thing happened here at Pavilion. So, I'd like to think that I know a thing or two, but as we discussed earlier, we're both always learning as well. That's the beauty of the world that we live in, is we're both always learning. So here to take any of that information, as well as the accolades of my SDRs. Every SDR I've ever worked with has been promoted to account executive within 18 months. Several of those SDRs from the last 2 years are on a promotion path to frontline management. So the transition from SDR to eventually getting to frontline management is, it's just more relevant now than ever. And I'd like to think I have a pretty good insight on that, because I'm seeing it happen for people. I'm seeing gentlemen that I career coach went from a senior BDR to a head of business development after 6 months of working with me at a company that, he might be a little bit above his knowledge base, but we got him there too. They took the chance on him because he learned how to manage up. He learned what he needed to do to prove that he was ready. He knew how to track his performance and show that he was, he maybe even if he was a medium performer, he was high trust, right? If you ever recall Simon Sinek's conversation about high performer, high trust, low performer, low trust, and medium performer, high trust, he found ways to find that high trust. And most reps outside of hitting quota don't know how to get promoted. So I always tell them it's about that trust factor. So what is the trust factor? And those are the things that I like to guide people through. This is how you build trust, aside from just telling the truth. You know what I mean? Everybody says, well, how do you build trust? There are a variety of things you can do to build trust in an organization. Because 58% of reps are consistently missing quota every month, but people are still getting promoted to account executive. People are still getting promoted to frontline managers. So somebody's got to be doing something right.